Hello everybody and welcome back to the Data Playbook. Today we have the Sunday pregame reviews, so let's get right into it. Getting into the next game, you have Jacksonville going to Las Vegas to face the Raiders, where Jacksonville is favored on the money line with a spread of 2.5 and a total line of 43.5. I think here, before I move into the rankings, I'll just switch these over to the averages if people need them, and then how they match up to the averages. So the most notable thing here might be that the Raiders are almost the worst in the league at scoring and are very bad at preventing their opponents from scoring on them as well. Over here with Jacksonville, they're not much better. They don't score very well as well. And they have an allowed scoring rank of 15, so they're about average about preventing their opponents from scoring on them. You also have a passing rank of 14, allowed passing rank of 27, so they're pretty bad at preventing the pass, but really good at preventing the rush with a rank of 6. Otherwise, they're about average or a little below average. With the Raiders too, you're below average almost in every category, with a scoring rank of 23, passing rank of 26, allowed passing rank of 22, allowed rushing rank of 13, which is closer to average, rushing rank of 26, and then about average with their tight ends. Getting into the quarterbacks, you have Trevor Lawrence and Geno Smith. Trevor Lawrence has an average of 16 fantasy points per game, and Geno Smith has an average of 10.5 fantasy points per game. Trevor Lawrence has 5 interceptions this season with 1 rushing fumble, and Geno Smith has 10 interceptions this season. Just moving those over to the averages, and then looking at their carry share to see how that impacts the rushing game. Trevor Lawrence has 18.8% of the carries, and over here with Geno Smith, so unfortunately it's cut off, but it's probably about 14%. Looking at the running backs with Antonine and Genti, Antonine averages 13 fantasy points per game, and Genti very closely with 13.7 fantasy points per game. The only turnover between the two comes from Genti with 1 rushing fumble. And if we move over to the averages, both running backs also get a large share of their team's carries, with Antonine getting 61% of the team's carries and Genti getting 69.8% of the team's carries. For the number 1 receivers, you have Brian Thomas Jr. and Jacoby Myers, with Thomas Jr. getting 11 points on average per game, and Jacoby Myers getting 10.3 average fantasy points per game, with no turnovers between those two this season. We'll look at their averages. And then looking at the receiving share, you have Brian Thomas Jr. with 22.5% of the team's receiving share, and Jacoby Myers getting 23% of the team's receiving share. For Jacoby Myers, this is not actually the largest percentage on the team for any one individual player, but I think we'll see that soon. But I think we'll see where that went to soon. Looking at the number 2 receivers, you have Parker Washington and Trey Tucker. Washington averages 7.2 fantasy points per game, and Trey Tucker averages 13.5 fantasy points per game this season, with no turnovers between the two. We'll look at their averages and their receiving share, where Parker Washington has 12.7% of the team's receiving share, and Trey Tucker with the largest percentage on the team with 27.3% of the team's receiving share. Wrapping up with the tight ends, you have Hunter Long and Brock Bowers. Hunter Long has been averaging 5 fantasy points per game, while Brock Bowers has averaged almost 11 fantasy points per game. He has been in through the first 4 weeks and then missed it up till now, so this is the long-awaited return of Brock Bowers. With no notable turnovers, I'll move it over to the averages, and then take a look at the receiving share. Hunter Long has a total of 4.8% of the team's receiving share, and even with Brock Bowers being out so much, he still has a total of 15.7% of the team's receiving share. So with the return of Brock Bowers and a poor passing rank over here, you may get Brock Bowers really showing up because they do like to use their tight ends, right? If the passing rank's pretty low here, tight ends kind of higher here, that means they really like to use their tight ends. And against a team that allows a lot of tight end yards and allows a lot of passing yards, this may be a big day for Brock Bowers. It will all come down to, depending on the rushing game, if the Raiders can actually stop Jacksonville, or if they can actually have a rushing game at all. But most importantly, the scoring rank, because it comes down to all the scoring. So if they can turn this around with Brock Bowers, they might have a good shot at winning this game. Otherwise, Jacksonville probably has a good chance. So we'll see how it turns out. So that's all I have for this game today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what else you might want to see in the future. Other than that, thank you so much for watching.